Hello and welcome. Now let's take a look at the details. The Ghana Telecommunications Chamber has stressed that the National Communications Authority, NCA, has the power to impose sanctions on mobile phone subscribers who have not yet re-registered their SIM cards. The support comes after some subscribers questioned the NCA's decision to impose sanctions on subscribers in phases to compel them undertake the re-registration ahead of the 30th September deadline. The NCA in a statement says it has commenced some sanctions against subscribers who have not yet registered their SIM from today, 5th September. We are joined via Zoom by Chief Executive of the Telecoms Chamber, Dr. Ken Ashibe, as well as Director of Consumer and Communications at the National Communications Authority, Nana Dufie Bedu. Good evening, lady and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time. Dr. Ashibe, we are learning that the sanctions have commenced. Is that the case?
Yes, good evening to you and your viewers, and good evening to Nana. Yes, the NCA's directive is for the first phase of sanctions to start. So currently what's happening is that for subscribers who have not done any of the registration yet, they've not even done the *404# yet, they are getting messages that is telling them that they need to go register, otherwise their SIMs will be blocked. And then the telcos are putting those who have not done this into cohorts of 5. They're dividing them into 5. And the first batch, definitely by the end of the day, would be blocked. So once they try making a call, the call will go to the IVR and then it would terminate.
All right, let me come to Nana Dufie. Are you going ahead to fully enforce these directives?
Yes, we are. We are going ahead to fully enforce the directives. And I think it's important for us to say or note that we have been working with the mobile network operators on this. We gave the directives. We worked with them on how best to implement these directives, looking at their network and the capabilities of their networks.
But what will you tell those who say that you are being harsh with your decision?
Well, I think that we need to look at what has happened in the past. If we recall, on the 31st of July, when the minister had her press conference, one of the things she mentioned was that anytime the deadline was approaching, we would see people rushing to go and register their SIM cards. Right after an extension is announced, then the momentum goes down. We hardly ever see anybody going to register their SIM cards. So what the minister put in place was a conditional extension where people would be able to as it were, feel a little bit of a pressure and be pushed to ensure that they have finished or they have completed the SIM registration.
But how are the sanctions being implemented?
Well, the sanctions are being implemented as Engineer Ashibe has mentioned, that for people who have not done the stage 1 and people who have done the stage 1, we see them as people who have not registered the SIM, because to claim that you have registered the SIM, you should have completed stage 1 and stage 2 of the SIM registration process. And it is being implemented from now until the 30th of September, after which all unregistered SIMs will be taken off the networks.
Coming back to you, Dr. Ashibe, the last time the Chamber published its data, the registration figures had dropped by 98%. And we're in the final month to the deadline. Is there any improvement?
Well, so you see, that's just what you just said, that from 28th, as Nana said, 28th of July, for example, we registered around 258,000 subscribers. Then on the 18th, you registered barely 5,000 subscribers. So definitely there was a bit of a nudge that you require. And the day has just started. Today is the first day that the punitive measure started. By the close of day, we'll be able to collate the numbers to see what additional numbers we've had so far as people going into the various registration centers to go get their SIMs registered. The point has to be made that the intention of these punitive measures is not to deny anybody telecommunication service. The real intention is to say that we have a database that needs cleaning up, and it's the reason why we're doing this registration with the Ghana card, which is a more robust database. But too many people, and as Nana said, on the very day that the minister was giving the press conference, she had not even finished giving the press conference when people started leaving our centers, because they were at our centers. So for those who have the Ghana card, we need to do all that it can take to make sure that they do the registration.
Let me go back to Nana. What will you tell those who, due to no fault of theirs, do not have the Ghana card? Any grace period for them?
Yes, and that is why, let's say, we would be using the month of September as it was a grace period for them to make sure that they are able to get their Ghana cards and register. Let me just touch on something that Ken said. He just mentioned. Yes, it's not the end of the day. We are hoping to see an increase in numbers of registrations, but as at 12 noon this afternoon, we had over 1,200 people who had completed their registration using the self-service app. So I am actually very hopeful that by the end of the day, we should see a great number of registrations at the MNO side too. For people who have issues, we also encourage them to let the service providers know and to let the NCA know what these particular issues are so that we can deal with them.
But Dr. Ashibe, what have been the records so far when it comes to online registration of the SIM cards?
So Nana just shared with us what is happening on the self-registration app.
Sure.
We are collating what our members are going to do, and we'll be able to tell that at the close of day. But I'm pretty sure that just learning from what is happening because the self-registration app had been launched and really nothing was happening on that particular front. But to get the 12 midday and being able to see those numbers happening, it's encouraging, and we're hoping that that would also happen, because all the telcos centers and beyond just the offices, all the areas that they've mounted, where all of those are going to be happening. And so we hope that we'll get a lot more people getting into these centers to register. And as Nana said, this is it's a project that we're doing with the NCA, with another supervision of the ministry. And the data on what is happening is something that would definitely feed into what it is that we intend to do. Because bear in mind that the ultimate aim is to clean the register, not to deprive anybody of the access to telecommunication service. So as Nana has said, if there are particular people, and a typical example, which the NCA is working with the NIA to get resolved, is our unfortunate brothers and sisters who are, physically challenged and as such do not have their biometrics. So we're trying to get the numbers for the actual numbers of those ones. And we know that even if they have the Ghana card now, are unable to register. And then we work to make sure that their registration can be done. So all of these things are things that we're doing to ensure that the registrations can be done. And for me, one of my appeals is to the Ministry of the policymakers, the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization, working together with the Ministry of Interior to find ways in which, working together with the NIA, working together with the NCA, we can get the Ghana cards as quickly as possible into people's hands so that everybody who actually can register can register. Bear in mind, there are some of the fraudsters and things out there. Definitely, they will not come forward because they know that when they come forward, they will be found out. They are not there. But the genuine people who want to do that, we will do everything in our power to ensure that we can help them in this month of September to be able to register.
Okay, before I let you go, Nana, are we hopeful with the introduction of the sanctions to see improvements? Do you have any target?
Yes. It is difficult to say that we're expecting 42 million SIM cards to be totally registered by the end of this registration process. As Ken mentioned, and let me touch on that too, these 42 million active SIMs that we see on our networks are actually also include SIMs that are being used by the fraudsters. So yes, we don't expect to see those SIMs being registered. Again, it is also possible for some people who do multi-SIMing to also say that, well, I may decide not to even register a whole number of SIMs again, given that there's also a quota for registering your SIM as an individual. You have a quota of 10 SIMs to register. So obviously, we don't expect to see that number of SIMs fully registered by the end of September. But we have 17 million SIMs that have fully registered their SIM cards, and we are encouraged, and we know that people are actually interested. What we plea with the public is that they should go ahead and register their SIM so that they are not deprived of communication services.
Dr. Ashibe, your final words.
Well, my final words is that to everybody who has a SIM, whether it's a voice SIM, it's a data SIM, you know, it is still free if you go to any of the operators' centers to get that registered. But, you know, for yourselves, those who are rich, who, you know, don't have the time, you still have the self-service app to be able to use to do the registration. And then my plea to us, you know, the telcos, the NIA, the NCA, the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization, the Ministry of Interior, is to work to ensure that, you know, the things that we need to do, take the Ghana card registration as close as possible to the public. Make sure that those who SIMs have not been distributed get distributed. We should do all of this for everybody so that we can get a robust SIM database that would enable other services that can be offered to Ghanaians to ensure that, you know, we are able to take advantage of the opportunities that digitalization offers to us as a country.
We leave it here. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Ken Ashibe is Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Telecoms Chamber, and Nana Defie Bedu is Director of Consumer and Communications at the National Communications Authority.